This was a fight about redemption, revenge, and the beginning of a new era. On one side stood Onyx, the dynasty that had ruled MPLID for years with their relentless early game domination. And on the other side, the Kingslayers themselves, Bigetron by Vitality, standing one step away from overthrowing a dynasty. Neither team could afford to lose, because only one could walk away as champions. But the Kings were walking straight into a trap, as BTR were about to reveal the plays that changed everything. Their secret to shutting down Onyx's greatest strength, and the masterclass in dismantling a dynasty. So let's start with the draft. BTR got the first pick, so Onyx instantly throws away Freya. She's basically a pick or ban in MPL Season 17. If Freya gets left open, she will almost guaranteed to get first pick. Basha and Vayne also got banned because those are Niall's heroes. During the regular season, Onyx kept losing to Niall's Vayne, and Onyx ID's weakness has stayed the same for years. They always struggle against utility junglers or heroes that can shut down their mid-trio snowballs. And Basha is currently the best utility jungler this season for denying the enemy snowball. BTR also throws out a respect ban by banning Zushin, which is one of Sun's heroes. Back in the upper bracket, Sun's Zushin completely shut BTR down really hard. He was hard to target and kept messing with Niall's movement. They also banned Pakido and Phoveus, because they don't want to lose the first turtle fight. Those two can almost guarantee the first turtle for the team that picks them. So BTR isn't taking any chances. They're planning to shut down Onyx early game map control. Because the one pattern Onyx has shown against almost every team is this: Onyx usually struggles to recover if they don't build a lead in the first 5 minutes. So BTR instantly first picks Marcel because he's one of the biggest power picks for both teams. If he's left open, there's a very high chance one of the teams is gonna take him anyway. And you can't really go wrong with picking Marcel this early even when Valentina is still open because he counters a lot of heroes Onyx likes to use. On top of that, there are still plenty of combo picks left open for him like Jennifer, Fredrine, Arlott, and a lot more of them are still open. Then Onyx instantly answers with Khalid and Cloud. Onyx steals away the Cloud here because Cloud is one of BTR's most picked hero and one of Iman's power pick. At the same time, they also pick Khalid. For now, Khalid is mainly here to set up Onyx mid-trio later on, because basically Khalid will help Onyx to win the mid-trio battle through damage and area control. But Marcel still has so many good partners left, so BTR is chilling here, especially for objective control. These early picks already look really strong. Fredrine also makes Khalid's life harder, so he won't be able to freely run around the map anymore. And all his poke won't feel nearly as impactful when the enemy jungler is a stone tank like Fredrine or Basha. And on top of that, BTR have another insanely strong space denier hero beside Marcel. BTR's draft is in a really good spot right now, and it's still super flexible because they still have two strategies available. They can easily add more objective control heroes if Onyx picks a farming jungler to starve Kairi out of resources so he can't get any gold or XP lead, basically kinda similar to TLPH signature style. Or they can switch into a front-to-back draft, usually with something like Carry or Moskov, paired with a DPS mid laner instead of a burst or utility. Because if they only have one DPS, they'll just end up struggling in long teamfights, since they won't have enough lasting damage. But Onyx is already preparing for that too. They pick a hero that farms insanely fast so they won't lose tempo or get out farm, while also giving them a reliable way to pressure the enemy backline. They also ban Harith so Cloud doesn't lose the matchup. And on top of that, BTR's draft can easily work really well in long teamfights because of these two. And Harith is really good in those long drawn out dancing fights. They also ban Gord as an insurance so BTR can't pick him. Because seriously, is it easy to target a good Gord when he has two insanely strong cover heroes protecting him? And BTR bans Valentina so Marcel's ult can't get stolen? They also ban Yves because they want comfortable teamfights later on. A bunch of walk forward heroes like this can have a really hard time when there's Yves. Then Onyx picks Lilia. This kid is kind of a nightmare for walk forward heroes because of the slow, and Onyx pick her to completely win the mid-trio battle. Lilia, Suyo, and Khalid already deal a ridiculous amount of damage even before the turtle spawns. And indirectly, Lilia also helps Onyx win the turtle control because of her slows and constantly spammable damage. So BTR answers with Moskov and Kimi. They're going with a front-to-back setup here. Moskov is a self-sufficient gold laner and also a great counter-engage hero. If someone suddenly jumps onto him, he can just push them away with his second skill, while also potentially stunning them. So Moskov makes it even harder for Onyx to actually secure kills and on teamfights since he's gonna give constant lane pressure non-stop. As for Kimi, she's the answer so they don't lose the zoning battle because they're playing against Khalid and Lilia, two insanely strong zoning heroes. Then Onyx finishes the draft with Uranus. that pick is there so they don't lose the XP lane while also mirroring Arlott, because those two in a straight 1v1 basically can't kill each other. Nobody wins and nobody loses. He's also there to constantly bother Fredrin around the turtle pit. Both teams are basically competing through their combos in this game. BTR has a setup destroyer combo with Marcel, Fredrin, and Arlott. Meanwhile, Onyx has an early game mid trio that perfectly complements each other. So that's the draft for game 1. BTR is running a full group up front to back composition, while Onyx is playing a hit and run, bait and switch style that can potentially make BTR's draft completely fall apart. The plan is to bait out BTR's skills and their focus using Lilia and Uranus, then instantly attack BTR's biggest weakness, which is their backline, by diving together with Cloud, Khalid, and Suyo. These two are basically drafts that can naturally counter each other. And with everything on the line, BTR tells their mid trio to stay close to each other all the time. They don't want to give Keyboy any openings to keep poking them in the early game and win the HP trade before the first turtle fight. Because BTR stays grouped together, they're able to get the setup first. And with an early turtle setup, it becomes much easier for BTR to separate Onyx to early game zoning heroes. But since Onyx has someone that can retake areas easily and they have two different attack angles available, Keyboy and Sans immediately pressures Niall, so he doesn't stick to the turtle. But BTR has other plan for now. The plan is they wanna either kill Lutpi first or at least force him to recall or regen for a while. Because if that works, Onyx will either loses the numbers game in the turtle fight or Lutpi won't be able to freely zone Niall along with Keyboy. So Moreno clears the top lane along with Shogun so they can hit level 4 together and surprise Lutpi.
Now the jump on Shogun, mobilization, and also the final slash on Lutpi. He's gonna be taking very low traction, pulls a jump in forward.
Even though Lutpi survives here, he can't immediately join the turtle fight because he has to regen first. This tiny detail alone is enough to scare Sans away from continuing to zone together with Keyboy. So Lutpi arrives late, Keyboy struggles to get through the zoning from Finn, and as a result, Niall gets to move freely and secure the turtle. But Onyx doesn't want to lose value, so they try trading the turtle for Niall. But BTR's setup is airtight, they've covered every possible attack angle. So Onyx failed the trade and Keyboy also died, and BTR secured the lead. Their draft is working exactly as planned, so they immediately start playing aggressively before Kairi can catch up in gold through his faster farming speed compared to Fredrin. They keep pressuring Onyx mid trio and deny them any space to farm. Fredrin stops them from moving, Marcel protects the setup, and Kimi constantly hit everyone down. This right here is the beginning of Onyx's downfall.
Oh, he finds a taunt just at the edge! Niall with a bonk on Sans! Now Tim going down, Kyrie looking for the play, golden hour to save Niall and to zone Kai from getting a blade surge.
Second turtle spawns, BTR setup first with a 1-3 formation. A standard early game front to back setup. Shogun keeps harassing Lutpi so he can't freely move in and out to disturb Niall. And Finn wants to freeze Onyx in place when they least expect it, if they suddenly decide to rush the turtle like earlier. But this time, Onyx isn't rushing in like before. Instead, they want to overwhelm BTR by attacking from 3 different angles. They know that if they get spotted grouping together, Finn will just freeze everyone if they try to retake the area normally. So this time, Onyx wants to capitalize on BTR's lack of mobility. If they attack from multiple directions at once, BTR simply won't be able to respond fast enough to deal with every angle. But little do they know how horribly this is about to go. Even though they got the turtle, Kairi gets swept by Shogun and immediately gets slammed by Niall. Now the rest of Onyx is confused because the only person that can easily punish BTR's DPS heroes at this minute is suddenly gone. With Onyx losing the numbers game, the ball is now in BTR's hands. All they need to do is force Onyx into making even more mistakes. So Moreno intentionally sacrifices himself to Keyboy. He knows that if he didn't back away, Onyx will be clumped up around him in this tight area, so Finn can freeze Onyx and throw their tempo off. So he's trying to bait everyone into grouping up around him, and now Onyx gets baited. They all end up grouping together because of Moreno's bait earlier, and this is exactly what BTR wants. And now, how will Onyx respond to the setup?
The golden hour as well. As that's what now, looking for the tongue. Won't be able to find it as Kelra pops the blazing win and purify. But Keyboy has the quick sand guard, pops it in, stays alive. Lutpi walks up.
But Onyx survives the setup and BTR gets absolutely nothing out of it. In fact, BTR actually loses the trade because Shogun misses his combo on Sans after it. So Shogun dies, but Sans also overextends and ends up dying too, so it's a trade. But Onyx is actually the one that loses more now, because first, their mid laner dies again. Second, Niall is the one who gets the kill, which means he now has an even bigger gold lead over Kairi. And BTR immediately starts capitalizing on Niall's early snowball. They gank the bottom lane to take the turret, and Kairi gets kidnapped again so he falls even further behind. As a result, BTR gets the third turtle for free. They also got both top and bottom outer turret for free, and they already have a 2000 gold lead before the Lord even spawns. So BTR set up first. And at this point, BTR already figured out Onyx's movement patterns from the previous turtle fights. So far, Onyx has been using Khalid specifically for vision control rather than for retaking areas. Usually, people use Uranus for handling the vision control because he's a lot harder to kill, and the roamer is the one supporting the Uranus. But Onyx didn't do that, and BTR's read is correct. Keyboy goes in just to gather information, and Uranus is staying in the back instead of going with Keyboy together. So they immediately ganks Keyboy before Onyx is even ready.
Marcel, he's just being an absolute menace as Nile picks up a kill for free. A monster kill.
Keyboy gets gangbang, and lasts about 5 seconds that time. Longer than you. Onyx is left with only 4 people and no heroes that can retake areas. Their only options are either to walk in and pray for a lucky retry steal because they can't retake the area anymore, or simply back off and defend. And Onyx chooses the safe path and back away. So BTR gets the Lord for free. They instantly fast clear the top lane so this turret goes down, then immediately groups up with the Lord, threatening to end the game fast. But Onyx knows BTR might force their way into the base because they have Marcel and Arlette. So Onyx opens with a 4-1 setup, with Keyboy flanking. They wanna punish BTR's push and catch their backline off guard if BTR commits to a fast end, but BTR doesn't enter the base yet. So Keyboy stays hidden in this bush, just in case BTR steps forward once this minion wave reaches the inner turret. This position gives Onyx multiple flank angles if BTR decides to play aggressively. But BTR is fully aware that Keyboy has been missing for way too long, and they've already considering the possibility of a flank. So Finn checks the grass and completely shut Onyx's plan down. So BTR picks off Loot P, taking away Onyx's most durable frontliner. Without him, Onyx no longer has anyone who can buy a lot of time to defend their base and make the game longer. And BTR realizes that Keyboy isn't looking for another flank, so they call for the execute. Finn targets Onyx's high ground hero, and he catches Kelra too, the main late game damage dealer for Onyx. At that point, Onyx has absolutely no way to launch a counter attack anymore.
And now he's gonna be waiting for the timing right now as he jumps in and he finds it! Perfect! Now, Kyrie with the Keller over to the wave. Now final slash from Shogun! Kyrie locked down by Nile. Big Bong sends him home.
A perfect game from BTR. From finishing 4th in the regular season to delivering a flawless victory against the previously unbeatable Sky Kings, BTR are relentless. Now Onyx gets the first pick, but the bans are completely different this time. They're the one who bans Zushin and Phoveus this time. And one of their biggest problems in the previous game was Arlette. He kept ruining their setups over and over again, so they ban him too. They don't want Shogun constantly messing up their moves anymore. Meanwhile, BTR bans Fanny as a respect ban toward Kyrie. Marcel also gets banned this time. Even though Finn can't play Marcel and they won earlier, he's still a high risk, high reward hero. So if BTR wants their strategy to work without taking any unnecessary risk, banning Marcel is the perfect choice. And there's also a chance Onyx might pick him if he's free because as I said before, Marcel is still a power pick for Onyx. And Pakido, who was banned in the previous game, is finally left open by BTR. So Onyx instantly grabs Pakido. As you already know, Pakido is one of the 3 heroes that's ridiculously hard to deal with in almost every situation in Season 17. He's strong in lane, strong in teamfights, strong around objectives, and even strong at finding pick-offs. You can't really go wrong with taking a hero that's this powerful so early in the draft. Besides, the purple guy is already banned, so one of his biggest rival that can consistently bother him is gone. And Pakido is flexible enough to be flexed into the gold lane against certain meta gold laner. Plus, if they go with a double fighter setup, their early to mid game become insanely powerful. So BTR answers with some really strong picks too. Even though Basha is gonna be in the jungle like 95% of the time, he can still become a situational flex pick for roam or XP if BTR wants to add another damage in the jungle. Especially if Onyx decides to put Pakido in the gold lane and run something like Esmeralda, Alice or Uranus again in the XP. They also take Cloud. Picking him this early also stops Onyx from using high impact heroes that rely heavily on positioning, especially for Kelra, who has always loved using marksmen that need really good positioning. Whether back when he was in Philippines or now in ID, he's still using that kind of gold laner. So Cloud makes it much harder for Kelra to play his comfort power picks. I mean, he still can, but it becomes way riskier. And then Onyx grabs Harith and Fredrian. Kyrie is playing a tank jungler this time because Basha has already been picked by BTR. And if Onyx picks a damage jungler, the matchup into Basha becomes really awkward. We all know Fredrian is pretty solid into Basha. Both farm quickly, both can stick onto targets, both are really good at controlling objectives, their overall power level is pretty similar. Onyx also adds Harith, which means they will have an edge on long team fights. Then BTR picks Sora to give them another layer of teamfight control, helps split Onyx formation, and provides the finishing damage after Cloud's ult brings everyone's health down. They also ban Valentina so Onyx can't steal Sora's ult. Joe also gets banned because BTR's draft is full of heroes that need to move forward. If one of BTR gets kidnapped after they commit, it'll be really hard for the rest to go back and back him up. Meanwhile, Onyx bans Failure so these two can move around freely. They also ban Yves so Fredrin can move more comfortably, and so BTR doesn't win area control in teamfights because Onyx is running Pakiro here, a hero that's insanely good at poking and bursting people, but his area control is pretty bad compared to heroes like Terizla or Yuzong, so it's already pretty obvious what Onyx wants to do. They're looking to play group top and they don't want to lose the area control. And to deal with a group up playstyle like that, BTR immediately prepares Atlas so Onyx has to think twice before clumping together. Onyx answers with Luye and Glue. Glue is there so Basha can't move around freely, especially around the Lord Pit, so Kairi will have an easier time in objective fights. As for Louis, to be honest, I'm not really sure why Onyx picked her in this game because she's kind of a good but not that good pick for Onyx in my opinion. The good part is that Louis can't really mess with drafts that like to attack together from one angle, like BTR's current draft here. Basically by doing this, 5 people are affected, right? She can also speeds up rotation, lets Onyx help each other up much faster, prevents Cloud from constantly split pushing, and even doing teleport setups to send Pakido into unexpected angles for pick-offs and gain advantages in teamfights. But the bad part is that her only real control skill has a really small range and area. And to have a huge impact in team fights, the spread effect of her skill needs to hit multiple people first. If she only hits one person, then she can only pull one person. And the chances of catching multiple targets are pretty much a one-time thing, unlike Yves or Zushin, whose control can be applied repeatedly and lasts much longer. I don't really understand why Onyx decided to go with Lu Yi here, when there's still other strong mid laners available that fit their composition better. And BTR finishes the draft with Kimi, so they don't lose the zoning battle against Glue. This pick is really important for BTR's draft. Just looking at the lane matchup against Luyi, Kimi should always win it. Sure, she loses in terms of early burst damage, but Luyi actually has to land her skills first if she wants to burst or poke someone. Kimi doesn't have that problem because her damage is constant. And Kimi is really good here because Onyx's entire mid trio consists of walking heroes. Fredrian, Luyi, and Glue all can only walk during fights most of the time. So once team fights happen, especially around areas like this, BTR gets to freely slow Onyx down, zone, and poke them without worrying too much. So that's the draft for game 2. Both teams are playing group top compositions. Both prioritize objectives and both want long extended team fights, and both can switch to pick off too if the situation is right. And in the game, you can see that both teams play pretty safely early on. But like I said earlier, Onyx area control is just way too small, and their skills need to be comboed together first to have real impact. Because of that, nobody can really hold BTR back whenever they decided to move in together. So even at the first turtle, BTR's movement is completely free. Yeah, Nile got pressured by Lutpi, but look at Shogun, look at Morino and Finn. They're completely free, nobody is controlling them, so they're confident enough to contest even though they originally lost the setup. And not only do they get the turtle, they actually end up controlling Onyx instead. So when it comes to setup battles, BTR is just straight up better than Onyx. That's why I'm still confused by Onyx's draft in this game. Why didn't they pick at least one hero with a large area control to help retake the space once BTR moved in? Because usually, when your XP is Pakido or other damage XP laner, teams will either have a teamfight hero or some kind of utility mid with strong area control, so retaking space becomes easier. But Onyx just picked Luyi against heroes that are hard to stop even with multiple skills. And if there's no real stopper, heroes like that are obviously just gonna run right past and head straight to the target. They also don't have heroes that can consistently impact all 5 people at the same time like in BTR. BTR has Atlas, Sora, and Cloud. Their skills can all affect 5 people in almost every fight. But what does Onyx have? Pretty much just Luyi. I mean, Fredrian can do it too, but I'm sure you know what I mean. And even then, that's only if her combo actually lands and didn't miss just like I mentioned earlier. So it's pretty clear that in game 2, BTR has the advantage in basically every aspect. Even during the second turtle, although Onyx gets the setup first and secures it, you can see them struggling really hard just to keep BTR away. And that's why BTR doesn't even have their key skills available. The only winning condition Onyx really has is to kidnap Morino and Iman one by one whenever BTR fully commits to an engage. Because if you look at Atlas, Bashar, and Sora, they're really fast at going in, but they're pretty slow at backing out. So whenever those 3 move forward, either Morino or Iman is almost guaranteed to arrive a little later than the front line. And that creates a pick-off opportunity for Onyx. Like right here, Iman gets left behind after BTR fully commits, which makes him super vulnerable. And that's how Onyx compensates for the weaknesses in their draft. They're losing the area battle, so why force a front-to-back team fight? So they bait BTR into fully committing first. And once BTR already initiated and no one is in position to cover anyone, Onyx immediately forces a fight near the damage dealer. So Onyx is forcing BTR to choose. Should they turn around to protect their damage dealers, or should they continue with the engage they already committed to?
Oh, he actually dodged away, blazing the wind and flicker around, but now he goes for the PMI, a big ball! Kai wins the entry, gets a buy one, get one, as he gets the kill on MI.
And the Lord has spawned. Onyx immediately sets up first and secures every entrance around the Lord with a 1-3-1 spread. They are fully committed to locking the Lord down so BTR can't easily retake the area. While Sans holds mid to protect Onyx in case Atlas or Sora tries to flank. Meanwhile, BTR changes things up. They know that if they all move forward together again, their backline is just going to get left behind like before. So this time, they split into two groups to make sure their backliners can move together with the rest of the team instead of getting separated again. BTR calls for a 3-2 formation. They want to attack from two different angles at once. And Onyx read was correct. BTR is trying to sandwich and flank. So the fight starts. Lutpi spotted poking Shogun up top, so BTR immediately rushes towards the Lord because the one that can burst them down is far away from the attacker. But Sans is actually expecting a flank. Hey, BTR is going to retake with Atlas. Okay, listen, we need to kill Finn as fast as possible, so BTR can't turn this around with his ult.
Go for the Fatal Links, that's the question. He gets mounted before he can even do anything. That's a flicker around the Fatal Links. In desperation, Keyboy gets away. Shogun able to find two as Amon base in and plays in the wet. Now the big ball comes around. And it's Kelra in the back surviving.
That was a beautiful counter-attack from Onyx. Both teams had simple but solid game plans. Onyx wanted to play safely, while BTR wanted to aggressively catch Onyx off guard before they were ready. But their entire plan backfires because of Sans' clever positioning in mid. It allows Keyboy to pull Finn at exactly the right moment, preventing him from surprising Onyx while they're still unprepared. So Onyx gets a free Lord and manages to leave BTR with only their inner turrets remaining. The second Lord spawns and BTR opens with a tight setup, but they don't wanna rush anything again. Onyx is playing a tight setup too, but they don't wanna start the Lord immediately. They're more focused on retaking the area and reacting to whatever BTR tries to do. Now it's BTR's job to figure out what Onyx is planning. So Nile hits the Lord, and then Finn opens this bush to check whether Kairi is being protected or not. He doesn't find anyone in the bush, but he spots Kelra and Lutpi moving towards it. So Finn pretends to rotate back towards his team, when his actual plan is to suppress both Kelra and Lutpi. This is perfect for BTR because Finn catches Onyx's late game damage dealer. So BTR instantly goes all in on Kelra. But they forget about Kairi, and they forget about the Lord too. So Kairi gets a free Lord, but BTR gets the only 2 damage dealers Onyx has. That means Onyx can't capitalize on the Lord push they just secured. So the Lord ends up being completely wasted and Onyx gets nothing out of it. Onyx has played super safely throughout the last 5 setups. Now it's time to change the pace. BTR starts the Lord first, but they don't kill it quickly. Instead, they're Lord dancing with a 1-4 setup. They wanna use the Lord as bait and execute a surprise attack with a concealed play. But Onyx sees the plan. They have Keyboy and Lutpi ready to flank the backliner so BTR won't have enough damage when they initiate. And with Kelra's ult available, they have a deadly trap prepared for BTR.
Still solo, concealed player. Are they looking for potential Fatal Links? They want to go for the red tree right now with the Fatal Links. Fly! Still wins it out, Fatal Link, no! In the back line, locks on down, Kelra's going to go for the Mod Force now, and Mod flickers out of safety now.
That was crazy. All of BTR collapsed onto Kairi, but Onyx sees it coming, and Sans perfectly lands his second skill spread onto Finn, Iman, and Nile, letting him pull 3 people at the same time with just 1 skill. So Nile can't do anything, and as a result, Kairi steals the Lord. It's now a 2v2. BTR decides to slow things down, but Keyboy still wants more instead of backing off. And yet again, the Lord that Onyx secures ends up getting them absolutely nothing. Remember how BTR had been using Atlas mainly to retake the Lord area whenever they were contesting for Lord instead of picking people off or suppressing Onyx in team fights? Onyx remembers that too. They have a read that BTR is just gonna wait for the Lord and going to do the exact same thing again. But that's not BTR's plan at all. Instead, BTR immediately takes the risk and goes all in into Onyx jungle since they already have the numbers advantage. And once they're inside the area, they can start figuring out what Onyx is trying to do. This is actually a really common late game play when you're winning in the numbers game, because successfully picking off just one player can snowball into a huge number advantage around the Lord. At this stage of the game, respawn timers are already a minute long, so one death can completely decide the objective fight. And all of this gives the attacking side several options. They can force a fast end, play safely and secure the Lord with the advantage they already have, or even try to end the game while taking the Lord at the same time just in case the push is not enough. So BTR just gathers information for now and pushes Kairi away. But there's no response from Onyx. Kairi is just trying to farm. Are they really not planning to do anything?
The vision to go in. Oh my god. What is this?
This is bad for Onyx. Kairi has fallen into BTR's hands, and Ludwig no longer has enough damage to burst Shogun down, which lets him immediately zone the rest of Onyx and prevent them from backing Kairi up. There's nothing that Onyx can do anymore, and BTR gets a free Lord. So they immediately stack with the Lord to guarantee a turret up top. Hey guys, what if we surprise them again? So Finn makes his move before Onyx is ready, while at the same time Shogun takes care of the backline to suffocate Onyx even more. Onyx needs a miracle to happen really fast, or BTR is going to have an easy fast and opportunity.
Down, but he's able to get out with a BMI. Kelra onto the Mod Force, goes over to Chrono Dash. Shogun buys immortality and time again.
But somehow Onyx survives BTR's perfect attack. So far, Onyx's game plan has been simple. Respond to BTR's moves, steal objectives whenever they can, and avoid any hard initiations. So BTR sets up another trap. BTR opens with a 4-1 setup, again making it look like they're once again using Atlas purely to retake the Lord area. Onyx responds with a 1-3-1 spread because they don't want multiple people getting caught by Atlas ult again like before. So Keyboy uses Conceal, and Kairi starts drawing BTR's attention so everyone focus on him instead of Keyboy. But look at BTR's response. Finn is pressuring Keyboy first, making Kairi's backup hesitate because if they group up, Atlas can immediately catch them all. After that, Finn suddenly switches onto Kairi, preventing him from moving, and it looks like Onyx is still hesitating to back Kairi up. But can Onyx pull off another miracle like before? Or will BTR maintain the control of the Lord area?
Fatal links to lock him down. He's gonna go down. It's a free red for Nile. Can he get it down? It's Moreno who claims it. Kelra with the Zaman Force already as Shogun goes into the air. Traction pulls locking him down as Keyboy goes for him out, but Shogun is able to get away as Zaman goes in for the hits as well. Immortality down. Kelra knows Zaman Force, but Ludwig comes in and Moreno gets another kill on to Keyboy.
The Lord spawns. BTR attacks from 3 different angles at the same time while pretending to defend the Lord from Onyx. Their goal is to bait all of Onyx's attention to Finn's position. And because Onyx becomes too focused on Finn and the Lord, their formation completely falls apart. Their positioning becomes really awkward because they can't group up, they can't back each other up fast enough, and they can't even retreat. As a result, Onyx becomes incredibly easy to pick off one by one. And BTR secured another point. Onyx are down 2 points, but they still get the first pick. This time, they don't wanna play Fredrin anymore, and they also don't wanna give it to BTR either, so they ban Fredrin. Paquito gets banned too because they don't want BTR using it either. Meanwhile, BTR sticks with the same bans, which means Basha is finally left open. Onyx have the first pick and immediately lock him in because from the previous game, Basha looked that strong in BTR's hands. He's amazing around objectives, great in teamfights, strong in pick-offs, rotate quickly, win in chaos, and takes forever to kill. So Onyx happily grabs Basha while it's available. BTR instantly answers with Arlet and Cloud again. Then Onyx picks Zushin and Moskov. They're going for BTR's usual draft composition this time, because throughout the season, BTR have consistently shown that they almost always play a 4-1 style. It seems like Onyx wants to try that approach too. And back in the regular season, most of BTR's loss was against teams that could also play 4-1, so it looks like Onyx wants to match BTR's 4-1 with BTR's own composition. Because Onyx already has incredibly strong objective control heroes with amazing zoning, BTR can't really pick a damage jungler here. An assassin jungler will struggle to find kills. An outfarmer jungler will also struggle to outfarm because getting into turtle areas become almost impossible. So BTR is basically forced onto using another tank jungler. So they choose Akai because he's a hero that practically cannot be zoned, which naturally lowers the impact of both Zushin and Basha. This is also a synergy pick for Arlet because whenever Akai uses his ult, Arlet's passive keeps getting activated over and over again. Since BTR's draft is clearly shaping into a hard engaged draft, and their mid laner is still hidden, Onyx immediately bans another strong multi-target big area controller. They don't want BTR adding even more area control since most of good controller in mids are already off the table because of Zushin. So BTR responds by picking Atlas again, making their engage and initiation even scarier. Then Onyx picks Khalid to help Akai in check and secure the early mid priority. Khalid's job here is basically to limit Akai's movement and help Zushin win the laning phase so she doesn't fall behind in levels or HP. Onyx also adds the Rizzler as a counter-engage tool against Atlas. If Atlas goes in, Terizla can instantly drop his ult. This makes BTR either has to disengage or risk getting multiple people trapped together. For the last pick, BTR locks in Zetian to make Atlas initiation much more reliable. Basically, before Atlas goes in, Zetian can simply press her ultimate first. If Moskov and Zushin don't use their Purify or their dash skill, they're almost guaranteed to get cut by either Arlet's follow-up or Atlas. So even though BTR's draft relies heavily on finding those big engage moments that can normally be denied by Purify or mobility skills, their setup is extremely layered. They have multiple ways to create the same winning condition, whether it's Arlet, Zetian, Atlas, Zetian, Atlas, Arlet, Zetian, Arlet, Atlas, Atlas, Arlet, Zetian, it doesn't matter. They have plenty of setups available, and against a group up draft like Onyx, this composition is incredibly dangerous. So that's the game 3 draft. Because Onyx has Khalid, they automatically win the poke war, so BTR's mid duo keeps getting held down by these two, making it difficult for them to clear the wave. As a result, Onyx controls the map early on. Their mid trio can move around much more freely, unlike BTR's heroes that need the right setup before they can do anything meaningful, so now they're the ones responding to Onyx's movement. Because of that, Onyx gets the first turtle for free, and they keep the map control afterward by staying disciplined, which leads to another free turtle as well. Sans and Kairi are basically untouchable because BTR still lacks damage. I mean, sure, Iman can technically deal damage since it's already mid-game, but he can't freely move in fights unlike previous games since Onyx's draft has way too much stun this time. Onyx has massive amounts of CC and a large area control. There's Terizla, Khalid, Zushin, plus Kiboy and Kelra, who have long duration stuns. If Iman gets caught by any of these, he's in serious trouble. Because of that, BTR is forced to avoid big team fights until they get their items and become much harder to kill. And to not fall behind, the best they can do is trade objectives or look for small pick-off opportunity whenever they appear. The Lord has spawned, so Onyx sets up first, but they notice that Finn, the guy who can single-handedly win BTR the game, still hasn't found his position yet, so Kiboy and Sans intentionally pressure BTR, hoping to force Finn to use his ultimate. They want BTR to have absolutely no way to retake the Lord area. But BTR also realizes that Kelra and Sans still probably have their purifies, so before the Lord Dance even starts, they need to burn those spells first, otherwise BTR's full stun composition won't function properly during the Lord fight. So they respond immediately. Shogun locks onto Sans, Nile targets Kelra. Purifies are out. Then BTR opens with a 1-4 formation again instead of attacking Onyx head on. This time, they decide to quietly set up a surprise attack while Onyx is fully focused on the Lord because hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They can do this because Finn has his ultimate ready again. And because most of Onyx's key skills are on cooldown, they are forced to stay together so they can easily cover each other. The fight starts, Kairi immediately targets Morino to remove his passive so he becomes much easier to target. Kiboy is gathering information while trying to sandwich BTR from the other side together with Lutpi. But he gets spotted and forced to back away. But Lutpi still targets Morino, and BTR instantly switches targets and rush to protect him, because if they kill Lutpi here, Onyx will lose one of their main counter-engage tools against both Atlas and Arlet's initiation. Kiboy can realistically only respond to one of them, not both. But then, at the worst possible moment, Sans steps too forward when he has no Purify, so BTR immediately piles onto Sans.
Oh no! He's all alone, and Bigatron know it. No way home. They're gonna go on to him right now. And Spin waits for the timing. Heavy spin on the Sans. He's gonna get taken out!
Onyx are down a player. One of their area controller is dead, and their jungler gets stunned right next to BTR's formation. Off a single mistake from Onyx, BTR completely shatters their momentum. Now it's time to change the pace. So BTR immediately pushes out every lane to even out the turret situation and get some value back on the map. Then they all stack mid. Their layered engage combo is ready, so if Onyx gets caught standing too close to each other, all hell is going to break loose. So Onyx refused to group up this time. But Nile immediately kidnaps Kelra while the Lord is close to the turret, preventing him from defending, so this turret is guaranteed to fall. And seeing Nile no longer has his ultimate, Onyx immediately strikes back, but they forget that Morino still has his ult available. So everyone got stunned, Onyx lost the momentum.
It's Iman going for the gun down with about the gun, treading Lutpi down. He's trying to survive right now, but the base turret in the top lane is gonna get taken.
And BTR takes the match point. BTR cannot be stopped, Onyx are still down, and they're completely sick of dealing with Atlas. They lost the last 2 games because Atlas kept finding game-changing moments. Basha is banned too. Onyx don't wanna use him again or let Nile have it again. Instead, they prioritize Fredrin with the first pick, and BTR instantly responds with Arlet and Cloud once more. But this time, Onyx already have an answer prepared for BTR's draft. If BTR opens with these two again, there's a very high chance they'll repick Akai again since Arlet and Cloud were the pieces that made Akai's game work last game. And there aren't any other jungler that can easily fight Fredrin right now. So Onyx immediately prepares for it by picking Lapu, a hero that's extremely difficult to lock down with stuns. And they grab Zushin again to limit the movement of both Akai and Arlet. It still won't be easy to deal with those two, but at least the setup can restrict them a bit. More importantly, there's no Atlas this time who can suddenly catch people off guard like in the previous games. And yep, BTR picks Akai, so Onyx immediately responds by banning Kalia so BTR can't get another playmaking hero. That means BTR's initiation attempts won't be nearly as terrifying as before because now they don't have a safe guaranteed way to pull people out of position anymore outside of Arlet's ultimate. While BTR bans Hilda and Cho to prevent Onyx mid trio from completely dominating the objective areas. And also Cho is Keyboy's hero, whose right now the win rate is still 100%. So BTR picks Kali to win the poke battle in mid and avoid getting completely zoned by Zushin around the turtle or Lord Pit. Even though they don't get another playmaking hero like Kalia or Atlas, Khalid can still help create opportunities for Arlet before Akai commits with his ultimate. But Onyx answers with Hylos and Brody. Sure, Akai and Arlet can still pull people away from Onyx formation, but Hylos' ultimate allows Onyx to instantly back up whoever gets caught. Because of that, Hylos becomes a huge problem for BTR in Game 4. On top of that, Brody already deals significant damage from level 1 all the way to late game, so BTR can't play nearly as aggressive. BTR also can't comfortably pick utility mid laner because they'll simply lose the damage in extended teamfights. Immobile mid laners are also difficult to use since that become an easy target for Lapu and Zushin, so that leaves BTR with only a few options. Lilia, because she's hard to catch and kill, Lunox, which is good at shredding tanks, although it's kinda difficult to use when there's Zushin and Lapu, Failure, who is actually quite good here, or Kimi, but she's a risky pick since escaping from those two is difficult. In the end, BTR goes with Lilia. But even then, this isn't the type of Lilia that can aggressively target the backline and then go back with her ult. BTR is forced with the kind of Lilia that has to play carefully and patiently. So that's the draft for Game 4. And because BTR has Lilia and Khalid, they are naturally stronger in the early game. Their economy is also much easier to stabilize because of the mid. So BTR play the early game aggressively and heavily pressure Kelra, so he can't fully abuse Brody's early game power. Niall even prioritizes ganking Kelra instead of contesting the turtle. You can see him getting ready in case Kelra is left alone on the bottom side while Onyx contests the turtle. The plan is simple: trade the turtle for Kelra and the gold turret. And Kelra actually is left alone because from Onyx's perspective, why protect a hero that's already winning his matchup anyway? So Onyx got the turtle and BTR traded with the gold lane. The early game is pretty even until the second turtle. This is where Keyboy and Sons completely shut down BTR's movement. They didn't let anyone from BTR to get anywhere near the turtle, which makes it really hard for Niall to steal it. And to make it worse, they killed Niall too. And they capitalize on it even more. They steal Niall's buff, destroy the bottom turret, and suddenly they're ahead in both gold and levels. And that makes their early game really smooth. The problem for BTR here is that their draft is built around pick-offs. Their win condition is to isolate 1 or 2 targets and keep abusing the numbers game. The issue? Most of BTR's heroes are running on one-time use abilities against a draft that constantly has skills available because their cooldowns are relatively short. So even if BTR manages to gain a temporary numbers advantage, their skills are already gone afterward, which means they will likely struggle to deal with an unexpected counter-attacks.
Now jumps in on the counter right now. Finn jumps in the back line and is able to trash him down. That's a kill. And man right there with the help of Lippy. He's gonna go for the raging slashes.
So this game is really difficult for BTR. And to make things even worse, Onyx is playing extremely disciplined. So BTR's pick-off-oriented game plan never really gets going. Onyx have already figured out exactly about BTR's moveset. So Onyx wins the map control this time. And if a full team fight happens, Onyx are favored there too because BTR simply can't find an opening to catch the damage dealers. Iman is basically the only one who can easily enter the backline, but he can't go in by himself. And Lutpi constantly keeps him under control. As a result, Suns get to move freely, nobody can touch Kelra, and Niall is permanently occupied by Onyx's frontline, making it very easy for Kairi to secure the Lord. Because of that, every move BTR wants to make becomes risky. They want to walk in to target the jungler, Kairi is fully protected. They want to dive the backline, they literally can't. So even though Finn always manages to get vision, what's the point of having vision if your team still can't move? That's basically Game 4. The game itself wasn't one-sided, but the draft power absolutely was. and Onyx takes the point. Onyx manages to keep the series alive and give themselves hope. This time, BTR got the first pick, and both teams keep the same bans, just in reverse order. BTR also don't wanna give Kairi Fredrin again like they did in the previous game. Both teams leave Basha open, so BTR immediately secures it for the first pick, and Onyx instantly responds with Zushin and Cloud. Cloud is picked so Basha doesn't become too tanky later on while denying Iman from taking him again. Also, Cloud is kinda hard to catch with a tank jungler too. And Zushin is there to keep Basha in check and make sure he can't freely control the turtle pit. Most of the heroes that can genuinely bully tank junglers from the very first turtle are already banned anyway. Phoveus and Pakido are gone, so the remaining heroes that can consistently disrupt tank junglers on the very first turtle are basically just Zushin, Yuzong, and Sora. But Sora is kind of a risky pick because BTR can still answer with Valentina after this, so Onyx goes with a safer option and locks in Zushin. Then BTR picks Moskov and Yves. Moskov is naturally good into Cloud. Their power level are almost the same, and he can potentially make Cloud's life miserable with his long stun, and can also match Cloud's lane pressure. Then Yves is picked because she's basically the only mid laner that can truly go toe to toe with Zushin from early game all the way to late game right now, whether it's in terms of damage, poke, or area control. And besides, Onyx would probably ban Yves in the second banning phase again anyway. If BTR doesn't pick her now, they're gonna be left with mid laners that generally loses the matchup against Zushin. So rather than risk that, BTR simply takes Yves immediately. And Onyx picks Leomord here because he's actually pretty good into Basha. He wins in red 3 power, can keep pulling Basha around and force him into awkward position, he can dive in and out of the backline freely to target Yves, and he's also much harder to kill than someone like Suyo when against tank junglers. Overall, it's just a really good pick into both Basha and BTR's potential group up draft. Then Onyx ban Atlas and Kalia to force BTR into playing a full engage style instead of those kidnapping or surprise engage draft that beat them in game 2 and 3. Onyx also added Hylos because they wanted to dominate zone control around objectives so Basha can't get free turtles. Hylos and Zushin together are ridiculously strong at locking down the turtle pit. Once those two set up first, BTR is going to have a really hard time either getting in or getting out of the area, whether it's for a team fight or objective fight, especially since BTR's entire mid trio consists of walking heroes. BTR answered with Yuzong and Glue. We already know how scary Shogun's power pick is. It also helps BTR retake areas controlled by Hylos and Zushin easier, or even take over the turtle and lord pits themselves. Glue is also great into dive heavy heroes like in Onyx draft because he's really good at disrupting those guys who are always trying to jump into the backline. And Onyx finished the draft with Lapu. This is their answer to BTR's hard to reach backline, especially for Morino because they need a hero that can make Yves' ultimate much less effective. Leomord, Cloud, and Hylos can easily reach Yves, but they can get disrupted by Glue and Yuzong. And there's also Moskov waiting on BTR's side. Because of that, Onyx can't afford to pick a utility XP laner if they wanna win big teamfights. They need someone who can actually kill the enemy backline while also being difficult to stop. Usually the options are Benedetta, Pakido, Lapu, or Yuzong in this meta. But Yuzong was already taken by BTR and Benedetta loses to Yuzong early on, Pakido is banned, so at that point, Lapu is simply the best option for Onyx. And in the early game, surprisingly, neither team played aggressively even though both drafts are capable of fighting from the start. Both teams weren't taking any chances. No trading hits, no poking, every lane was just chilling. But just like I said earlier, BTR gonna have way too much freedom around the turtle. Because in the zoning battle against Yves and Glue, Onyx will almost always lose in the early game. So Keyboy gets no backup and Kairi gets left alone. This move benefits BTR so much that Kairi even gets solo killed. And BTR capitalized on it by stealing Kairi's blue buff. But Onyx didn't just let it happen. They set up toward the top lane, looking to trade the turtle for a kill and pressure up top so they don't fall behind too much. But look at Kairi again. He's completely being held down by BTR. They failed to steal the golem, but Niall still keeps chasing Kairi around. And because of that, Onyx mid trio can't gank anywhere at all. Their mid trio can't even do anything in game 5. And because Onyx mid trio isn't working, all of BTR's heroes get to move comfortably. Nobody's ganking Iman, Shogun has all the freedom in the world, and he even takes all the gold turret because Niall had already shut down Onyx mid trio movements earlier. And it's still the same at the second turtle. Even though Keyboy and Lutpi successfully push Morino away so he can't use his ultimate to control the lord area, look at Finn and Shogun. They are free to lock down Kairi together. Morino doesn't even care that he's getting locked down by a Lapu in alt mode. He still walks forward because killing Kairi and completely shutting down his farm matters more, since Leomord is a snowball dependent hero. And if your Leomord keeps getting locked down like this, especially around the objective area, what can he realistically even do? So the entire early game belongs to BTR, and the pressure doesn't stop even after the early game is over. They still putting even more pressure on Kairi by instantly invading his buffs, because in this game, Onyx's entire early to mid game depends only on their jungler. They can't rely on anybody else. Zushin is a utility mage, not a damage mage. Lapu doesn't really threaten tank junglers, and Kelra's damage doesn't really become that scary until he got these two items. But Onyx isn't just sitting there doing nothing. Their response is actually pretty smart. They constantly play on the same side as Kairi. If Kairi is on the left, their mid duo stays around top. If Kairi moves bot, the mid immediately stay at that side too, because they know their entire game revolves around him. The moment Kairi gets invaded again, they wanna be close enough to instantly back him up, trade kills, or at least stop BTR from freely bullying their jungler. The problem is, they still don't have a real stopper for Nael, Finn, and Shogun. At best, they only have Zushin. But even then, she needs time to fill this thing up first. And it's not even guaranteed to stop someone. So yeah, that's why they have it rough here. Onyx actually has plenty of answers for BTR's backline. They can reach it through Leomord, Cloud, Lapu, and even Hylos can help. But they genuinely have no answers for BTR's frontline. So even though Onyx's idea of turning things around is actually good here, and they even get access to BTR's jungler, it still backfires. Instead of Niall dying, it's Kairi who ends up getting killed again. And BTR never stops pressuring Kairi. They don't sit around doing nothing too. The turtle is spawning, but Morino is alone inside Kairi's jungle, attacking Sans just to pull Onyx's attention towards him instead of the turtle. Sure, he doesn't get the buff and Sans survives, but because Onyx has to respond to him, BTR gets another free turtle. And yet they have to move aggressively like this. Just look at our draft. They're running Bashar and Yuzong. If they're not constantly pressuring the enemy jungler, it's basically like picking Zilong and just hitting the tanks. Game 5 is incredibly difficult for Onyx because Kairi is simply not allowed to play the game in their jungler-centric composition. They're stuck in a lose-lose situation. If they protect Kairi from the frontliners, then BTR's backliners get to free hit without any punishment. But if they focus on dealing with BTR's backline instead, BTR's frontliner will just run over them and attack from the inside of Onyx formation like before. And to make things even worse, Onyx only have one true tank. They lose the sustained battle really hard. So whether they start the fight or respond to BTR's engage, the result is basically the same. BTR will just simply outlast them. Because of that, Onyx are forced to give up the first lord for free. They're also forced to give up their mid turret because of it. And eventually, they have no choice but to surrender the second lord as well. And BTR closes out the game the exact same way they've been playing since the early game, by jumping Kairi before he can even get on his horse to catch Onyx off guard and never gets the chance to save him.
In the bottom lane, gonna go for Kai! He's dead, the Sky King is fallen! The walls are crumbling! No RBM, but the dragon comes around as the P comes in again. But as the Diamond, piercing him down. That's the mount down as the P goes out! A full fight onto Kelra with a blazing duet. Saber survive right now as Sans goes in again. He pulls Shogun back. Another minute. Moreno takes him out.